All right, guys, I'm just going to do a quick overview on how we simulate barcode scanning with blood administration. You've checked off on blood administration in semester 1 or done the skill and practiced, but this is the way that we can simulate in a semi-realistic fashion to prepare you for what actually happens in most facilities when we administer blood products. So I'm going to do this overview, and you can watch this, and then Miss Patton and Miss Daffron or Miss Dawsey are going to pass around some test barcodes that are off product and some barcode scanners for you to make sure that you feel comfortable doing this. And then later in lab today, you will do this with real simulated blood products and all the armbands that are required for this with your partner. I do want to say at the very beginning that the barcode scanning component does not replace the need to do that verbal two-person verification with the first person needing to be a registered nurse. The barcode scanning is just kind of a fail-safe to make sure we are matching the right things at the right time. As far as compatibility and things like that, from my aspect, the barcode does not check for that. It is just, the scan is just checking to see if the two barcodes that you have compared and scanned are matches. So in real life, all those cross-matching things are analyzed already, but we are still learning, so I want you guys to be familiar with how to check whether blood types are compatible or not. So even if the chart tells you that something is a match, that just means that the two things that you have scanned are appropriate for what the medical record requires. So we're going to get started. And I'm using TRN2 SimDay 1 for the example. So my Moodle may look slightly different than yours because I have editing on as the instructor. But the very first thing you will see here is practice blood administration. And this is for those of you who have never done this before in TRN2. And if you're in TRN3, you can skip forward to the scanning part if you want, but it won't take too long to get there. So you'll click on the URL link, and then you have a link here. You'll click on that as well. Now this is going to bring you to a shared Google Drive folder that I have access for anyone to have the link. You see I have a demo chart right here. There will be multiple charts listed on here when you all are doing this in the sim lab or in the classroom before sim lab, and there will be a chart with each of your names on it. So you will click into the chart with your name, and that will be the one you practice on. When you get to lab and you do your simulated patient with the actual product, and we use the supplies in order to administer it into a mannequin, you again will each have your own chart, and when you are clicking in your chart, you will be the one scanning and acting as the primary verifier, and you will be the one who spikes and primes the blood and administers. Then when you're done, your partner will click into their chart, and you will do everything with them being the witness, with them being the primary administrator, and then they get to spike the blood, so on and so forth. So you'll really be doing each of these things twice in the lab today. This is just so everyone knows what to scan and how to do that. Because I built this from the ground up, it's just a Google Sheet, so it is very simple and basic, but it's a way for us to get into that digital element that we are always adding to in the bedside aspect. So we're going to pretend that this has my name. This is just my demo chart, and I'm going to double click, and that's going to open up my Google Sheet. Here we're going to start with a face sheet. Some of the charts in Simulation Lab will have many more tabs than this, but this one only has the tabs that we're going to need for blood admin. So our patient's name is Miss Sinogo. She's 23 years old, has her demographics, religion, or undisclosed religion, code status, all that good stuff that a face sheet has. And then you can follow down here, and we see different tabs. So we have a tab for consents, a tab for flow sheets, which is mainly where we're going to work today, a tab for physician orders, and a laboratory tab. So before I get too far, I want to go ahead and hook in my barcode scanner. Those of you with Mac computers, there will be an adapter piece for a USB conversion passed around. If you have one of those, that's great. If not, I have a couple that I will pass around, or that we will pass around, so you can plug in the barcode scanner, because we only have ones with USB. So when you plug that in to your computer, it'll be a few seconds and you'll hear this sound, and that tells you that the barcode scanner is being identified by your computer. Now, on some Mac computers, we encountered this last semester, it may pop up as a new keyboard, and you'll have to, I can't remember what the button is, but there's some sort of button that you push to kind of acknowledge, even though it's not a keyboard, you just agree that it is, and then it will make that recognition sound and you'll be able to use it. All right, so where we verify blood at with our verbal and barcode verifications is going to be under flow sheets. This is where you would see vital signs, intake and output, and all that good stuff. So you do have a blank for your pre-transfusion vitals. You can click in this cell and put in all your vital signs. So let's say, for instance, our temperature is 98.4. We'll hit enter. Pulse ox is 97%. Our blood pressure is 98/46 because we're a little low on blood. Heart rate is 105. Respiratory rate 15. And they're having 0 pain. So these are our pre-transfusion vital signs. Okay. If we scroll over just slightly, we see the entire flow sheet for our transfusion verification, and this is the part that we are going to be scanning our barcodes into. So again, this does not take the place of the verbal verification. I don't care how you do it, but the verbal part always has to come before the barcode scanning part. So what I would recommend you do is that you do these in sections. So we're going to verify our patient ID and verify that it's the same on the ID band and on the blood band. And once you're in verbal agreement with your partner, then you can scan both of those things. That way we can acknowledge in the computer that they're a match as well. When barcodes are scanned and they match what the computer requires, this will turn into match confirmed and it will be green. If you're unsure on what to click on, this yellow box over here tells you can hover the mouse over each requirement for instructions. So if you'll notice here under the safety components, if you hover over with your mouse, not click on them, it will let you know what exactly to scan, because sometimes it can get a little confusing and there are several things that we scan here. So we're just going to work in this top part for now. So here we would do verbal verification of our patient's ID, so name and date of birth, and we typically do medrec number as well. Then in order to scan it in, you need to click into the cell, and notice my cell is now highlighted in a blue border. And the very first thing we scan is going to be the patient's armband. So we're going to scan that, and you see the number pops up, PCS 123456. I was super original with this one. Once you scan, notice there's a cursor blinking. You must hit enter for it to take that input. Okay, we still say false under match or mismatch because we haven't added the second component. So now we want to verify her information on the blood band. So you will locate the blood band and scan the patient's identification and medrec number, which is a QR code on the blood bands I have made. So we're going to scan that. Visually, I can see it's a match. When I hit enter, now we have match confirmed and the box turns green. So that tells you your barcode's matched, and that is the secondary safety net to that first verbal verification. Now let's say that when I clicked into here, I accidentally typed something on accident, okay? So that's okay. And if you need to fix it, all you have to do is click out of the cell on any other cell, highlight another cell in blue, and then click your undo button, and it will fix, okay? So if you backspace, it'll mess up with the formula up, and if you enter on through, obviously it's not going to match. So click out of your cell if you make a mistake, turn another cell blue, and then click the undo button, or whatever your keystroke command is on a Mac. It's Control-Z to undo, and that will go ahead and correct the form for you. So next we're going to verify the blood product number, and this says we're going to scan the product barcode number, so the unit number on the blood product itself. So you'll have your blood bag, and remember to click into your cell, which I'm already clicked on there. Then I'm going to get my blood product and look for that unit number, and I'm going to scan it. So we have A5300 1940109. We're going to hit enter. Remember to hit enter after those scans, because if you scan without hitting enter, then it's going to make your number like twice as long. Then we're going to look at the blood band and look for that product number barcode on the blood band. So the blood bands have a ton of barcodes on them. You may need to cover some with your finger so as to scan the right barcode. So I'm going to scan my product number. I'm going to hit enter, and the computer recognizes that I have scanned the same two things on two different items. Now the patient's blood type, that is going to be on the patient's blood band under ABO-RH. We're going to scan that. And it looks like she is AB negative. And then we're going to scan the type of the blood product. The blood product is B negative. Okay, so that lets me know that that's what I was supposed to scan. And again, we're going to work together as our primary and witness to make sure those two blood types are compatible. The last thing we're going to scan is the donor information. So there will be a donor number on the blood band. So we're going to scan that. And notice I'm not having to click in the cells as long as I'm going straight down the line. It will automatically highlight the next cell if I hit enter. So our donor number is ARCVD 94234. I'm going to hit enter. And then there will also be a donor number on your blood product. We're going to scan that and hit enter. And I have 4 green boxes, which means all of my barcodes have matched. That's perfect. So moving down the flow sheet, you see that there is a drop down, and this is a yes or no box, a drop down that is asking whether or not the consent is signed. So this is when our other tabs in the chart come into play. So we have a consent tab, and remember, all this happens before the blood is even spiked, okay? So we have under informed consent documents, we have a link for a consent for blood products. If I hover over that, it brings me up a preview. If I click on that, it'll open a new window, and I can see the consent. So we will verify her name and date of birth on this consent form, and that it is a blood transfusion consent form, that she has signed it, and that whoever the nurse has been for the patient has signed it. Sometimes the witness will sign on these as well, and then this one is already signed by the physician. Okay, so we have verified that the consent is current, so we're going to go back to our flow sheet, and then on consent is signed, we're going to select yes. Then have we confirmed the lab values? So we're going to go over to the laboratory tab here. And our main thing that we focus on for blood transfusions, for packed cells especially, is going to be hemoglobin and hematocrit. So we have a hemoglobin of 6.9 and a hematocrit of 29. Our normal ranges are over here. These are, of course, very below normal, and they are a significant drop from some previous lab values. So yes, we're going to confirm that the labs indicate this blood unit is warranted. If we don't check this, somebody could have put in an erroneous order for blood products, and if we're not checking this, then we are not doing our patient any favors, and we could actually harm them. So the last thing that I would recommend you do, and you're going to have this or you wouldn't have a hold of the blood product itself, but we're going to verify that this is ordered appropriately. So if you look through here, there's lots of orders here because this is one of our critical care charts. On the third line, we see type, cross-match, and transfuse 1 unit of packed red cells when ready. So there's our order. So at the very bottom, whoever's chart this is, whoever's going to be spiking the blood, you're going to type your first and last name here. So I'm going to put mine. And then when you hit enter, it automatically puts in your initials for you and the date and time. And then your witness is going to put their first and last name in here. And then all of that verification is complete, okay? So at this point, then we can spike and prime our blood bag, and we can proceed with administration. We have our pre-transfusion vitals, and we have done our verbal verification with a witness, and we have scanned in all of our barcodes. Again, if you mess something up, undo button is your friend, but only when you click out of a cell. I believe that's it.